Okay, so we are off and running.
Good morning and welcome to the Lincoln County Board of Commissioners regular business meeting. It is Wednesday, October 6, 2021. I'm Claire Hall, the vice chair of the board this year. Chair Doug Hunt is excused today. However, Commissioner Katie Jacobson is also present, and that does constitute a quorum of the board. As we do at the first meeting of every month, we recognize service milestones of employees who have been with the county for 5 years or more. And we also have introduction of newly hired employees for the county. First off, the anniversaries. And if you are online, I invite you to maybe turn on your camera for a moment, wave to our audience. We have, let's see, 5 people here representing 60 years of service to the people of Lincoln County. Patricia Jarrett marking 20 years with HHS. And I see on the screen Eli Adam, our surveyor. Hi, Eli, 15 years under his belt. Joel Matz with the assessor's office, also marking 15 years of service. Michelle Marasco in the sheriff's office, 5 years. Paula Ferguson in HHS, also marking 5 years of service. And now we have a list of the new folks we're welcoming, and we know that at least one of them is on the line, but I'll turn it over to Jaylene Cook, Assistant Personnel Director, for introduction of the new members of the Lincoln County family.
Thank you, commissioners. So we have Nathan Harrow, who moved from an on-call position into full-time as a youth care specialist in the juvenile department. Theodore Snyder joined us as a computer technician in our IT department. Selena Velos joined us as an office assistant in the primary care of Health and Human Services. Amy Dempsey returned to us as a clinic assistant too in primary care in HHS. Bobby Foley joined us in the clerk's office as a senior deputy clerk. Katie Sawtell and Alexander Consalvos joined us as COVID response workers in Health and Human Services. McKenna Swinford joined us as a permit technician in the planning department. And Larry Wooten joined us in the sheriff's office as a community services deputy. And I believe Larry is on today.
So Larry, if you're able to activate your camera and say hello, or at least wave hello, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, let me see if I can do that. Yeah, I guess I'll join as a panelist here.
Yep. We should be over. There he is. Oh,
Okay.
double clicked.
Oh, yeah. Still trying to get the camera to do its thing.
Sometimes they've got minds of their own, it seems like.
Yeah. Well, it won't start the camera for some reason.
Oh, well.
Well, okay. Just do a little bit of introduction. So, yeah, I just retired recently from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration after 22 years of service with them. But I've been extremely active with the fire department here in Newport, as well as the Newport Police Department for a few years before joining the Lincoln County Sheriff's Office, and taking over the duties of the Community Services Deputy from Deputy Holmes, and just hoping that I can continue on with the service that they provided to the county moving forward, and looking forward to working with the Board of Commissioners and trying to get things taken care of.
Well, thank you and welcome aboard, to all of our new hires. And we'll see you back here hopefully in 5 years to receive your 5-year service pin and certificate. But don't hesitate. If you want to look in on what we're doing here at the Board of Commissioners, you're always welcome. So thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to what Commissioner Hall said and just give a warm welcome and just remind people that, we are accessible. You feel free to reach out if you just want to chat or say hello or understand something we do or what have you, please feel free to reach out anytime. I think we all want to make sure that we're accessible to people. So glad to have everybody on board. And also thank you to all of our long timers for all of your service and dedication to us as well.
All right, thank you all. Now, next up, we've got a resolution proclaiming Lincoln County's intent to participate in the Great Oregon Shakeout and work toward becoming a safer community. Commissioner Jacobson, would you like to read this one?
Got to unmute myself first. Yes, I'd be happy to.
Okay, and then we'll hear from Jess Palma from Emergency Services after you read the proclamation.
All right. In the matter of proclaiming intent to participate in the Great Oregon Shakeout and work toward becoming a safer community. Whereas the County of Lincoln recognizes that no community is immune from natural hazards, whether it be earthquake, wildfire, flood, winter storms, drought, heat wave, or dam failure, and recognizes the importance enhancing its ability to withstand natural hazards, as well as the importance of reducing the human suffering, property damage, interruption of public services, and economic losses caused by those hazards. And whereas major earthquakes pose a particular significant and ongoing threat to the entire county region, and whereas the county has a responsibility to promote earthquake preparedness internally as well as with the public and plan appropriately for earthquake-related disasters. And whereas the protection of county employees will allow them to facilitate the continuity of service, of government, and assist the public following a major earthquake event. And whereas community resiliency to earthquakes and other disasters depends on the preparedness level of all stakeholders in the community. Individuals, families, schools, community organizations, faith-based organizations, nonprofits, businesses, and government. And whereas by participating in the Great Oregon Shakeout on October 17th, I think we want to say 2021 there, the County of Lincoln has the opportunity to join and support all Oregonians in strengthening community and regional resiliency. And whereas by supporting the Great Oregon Shakeout, the County of Lincoln can utilize the information on www.shakeout.org/Oregon to educate its residents regarding actions to protect life and property, including mitigating structural and non-structural hazards and participating in earthquake drills. And whereas by registering at www.shakeout.org/Oregon, county employees can participate in the Shakeout Drop, Cover, and Hold on earthquake drill on October 17th at 10:17 a.m. and encourage the public, schools, businesses, and other community stakeholders to also register. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County of Lincoln hereby approves participating in the Great Oregon Shakeout hereto by taking time to recognize and acknowledge the importance of preparing our county for the purposes of building a safer community and reducing the loss of lives and property from major earthquake event by taking proactive steps today.
Thank you, Commissioner Jacobson. And now the agenda says that Assistant Emergency Manager Jess Palma will be presenting to us about this measure. Jess, are you online?
Good morning.
Good morning.
So much for having us. And Casey or Christy, we did send just, it looks like 4 slides over if you have a minute to pull it up, but I can talk while we find that and save us a little bit of time. So as you know, emergency preparedness is so important. And the more that we practice and plan and prepare, the better we are in the future, the more likely we are to act appropriately and efficiently. And so this is why we are inviting everyone in Lincoln County to participate in the Great Oregon Shakeout. I apologize, it looks like the proclamation from 2019 was pulled. And actually, the date of the Great Oregon Shakeout is on Thursday, October 21st at 10:21 in the morning. So wherever you are at work, school, in your car, at the grocery store, we are inviting you to practice your drop, cover, and hold, or whatever other reaction you might need to have. Your car looks very different than if you're at your desk at work. So just being prepared. And sorry, Casey, I saw that you were unmuted.
And I'm sorry, Jess. I'm just kind of still getting in the swing of things without having Christy here. Your slides are not in the packet, but I am willing to hand over the keys to you if you want to pull those slides from your desktops.
Sure. Give me just one quick minute. Apologies.
Yeah, me too.
And I know the commissioners have a tight agenda today, so we're happy to just forward that via email and then we can make it available. We'll post it. We're going to share the information on our social media site. So if you guys are short on time, it's quite all right that we just forward it to you by email.
Chair, what is your desire? Do you want to see the slides, or should we bring them back into the website at a later time for the community so they can access those?
I think let's place them on the website as soon as possible and
Yeah,
move
no
along.
worries.
Yeah.
It was just a couple slides to tell you how many presentations we've done and what our participation is, but we'll send that by email and it will be just fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
I am sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
No worries, Casey. I am always prepared, right? Emergency preparedness, emergency management. We're always ready. So I will be quick and I'll just let you know. So we, as of October 1st, we had 7,209 participants registered in Lincoln County. We really encourage that if you are going to participate, whether you're a family, an organization, a school, community group, whatever you are, if you will register, this helps do a few things in Lincoln County. It demonstrates how committed our community is to emergency preparedness. We're practicing, we're ready, we're setting ourselves up for success. It also helps organizations in Lincoln County secure grant funding in the future, and putting those dollars right to work at home. So it takes just a few moments, and that's on the Great Oregon Shakeout website, which we'll share with you. It's also on the Lincoln County Emergency Management website and our Facebook page as well, but we'll get that information to you. And then, as you know, the Cascadia Rising exercise of 2022 will be happening in June of 2022. And this is because, we live on the beautiful Oregon coast, which also means we live on the Cascadia subduction earthquake zone. So we'll be practicing, just like we had a major earthquake, what are the next steps? How are our communications and operations affected? Because practice makes perfect, right? The more that we do now, the better prepared our community is in the future. So we're going to be adding a public education campaign component to this exercise as well. So we'll be taking those in-person presentations that emergency management has done over the years, and we'll be turning those into some virtual modules that will be really digestible and accessible to our community members. So really hoping just to give everybody the tools that we need to be successful, remembering, make your plans now, review them, practice, and that will really set us all up for good success and will help us, have the best possible reaction in a really unfortunate situation. So stay tuned. We will have more information on those modules coming up later this fall. And that's everything I have for you.
Thank you. Commissioner Jacobson, any questions or comments for our presenter?
No questions, but I am ready to make a motion if you are ready for that.
I am ready.
All right, I make a motion proclaiming intent to participate in the Great Oregon Shakeout and work toward becoming a safer community.
I will second that motion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And
It's approved. Oh, go ahead.
I was hoping that either Jess or Jenny could say the date and time one more time.
Sure. It's always the third Thursday in October. So this year it'll be Thursday, October 21st at 10:21 in the morning. Great time to drop cover and hold on.
Thank you.
Okay, we move along now to the consent calendar, items that are routine or have been discussed at previous meetings. Are there any items that Commissioner Jacobson or county staff wish to either highlight or remove from the consent calendar? If not, I'd entertain a motion for approval of the consent calendar.
I will make a motion that we approve the consent calendar.
I'll second that motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's approved. We don't have any public hearings or decision action items scheduled. So we do have a discussion and information item. David Collier, Human Resources Director, is with us to present a temporary policy for COVID-19 vaccination requirements. And David, have we got you online? There you are.
Yes.
Okay, the
Thank
floor
you.
is yours, sir.
All right. Again, I am David Collier. I am the Human Resources Director here at Lincoln County. And thank you, commissioners, for having me. So before you is a temporary policy for vaccination mandate for healthcare staff and school staff. And how this came about on August 4th, because of the surge in COVID-19 cases, particularly the Delta variant, Governor Brown issued a vaccination or testing mandate for healthcare and school staff that was to go into effect on 9/30. However, 2 weeks later, Governor Brown removed the testing option and actually pushed the timeline out to October 18th. So we've been busy working on that, been working with the departments impacted. So primarily HHS, but it also impacts our jail facilities, our IT department, and also the juvenile that go into the schools. We've been, again, communicating with those staff. And just so you know, we are right at around 94% of the folks impacted by this vaccination mandate have given us their vaccination records. We also have a few exemptions, and I believe that actually brings us up to around 96 or 97% of impacted employees. And then we've had, some communications with those others out there. So we're very close to, wrapping this up with all of our impacted employees. So we're asking you to, to look at this policy today and ask, hopefully I can answer any questions that you have regarding it.
Commissioner Jacobson, do you have any questions about the proposed policy?
I don't have any questions. I understand that, we are required to put this policy in place. So, we need to do that.
And this is listed on the agenda saying discussion information, but the board could act on the following topics. I don't know if County Counsel Kristen Ewell would want to weigh in on this.
Thank you, Commissioner Hall. I would advise you just to keep it as a discussion, and then it's going to be presented to employees for any kind of input, including our labor unions, and then bring it back next week for action.
Okay, that still would have us acting prior to the October 18th deadline then. Okay, are you good with that, Commissioner Jacobson?
I am, thanks.
Okay, we'll bring it forward as an action item next week. Thank you.
All right, thank you, commissioners.
Okay, we'll move on to our regular updates. And first, Commissioner Jacobson, Public Information Officer Casey Miller, what have you got for us in the way of an Echo Mountain fire update today?
Yeah, so the only kind of new thing I have from an Echo Mountain fire update is that Casey and I met just yesterday with kind of a pro bono planning group that helps communities do kind of smaller planning activities for pro bono work. So we had a conversation with them. And one of the things that we were noticing, but also some of our FEMA partners were noticing, is while I think just about everybody working in recovery, myself, Casey, our long-term recovery group members, survivors, I think all of us all know kind of what things need to happen. Those things are not necessarily put down on paper in a way that says there's, some agreement to sort of what the plan is. And as there is more funding opportunities coming forward, it kind of is starting to become evidence that having that kind of documented and on paper together kind of as a group would help us be more competitive in some of those funding opportunities, as opposed to just saying, I know we need to do this because, I talked to people, actually having some documentation of who was talked to and that kind of a thing. So this group is going to help us with what I call kind of a planning light. So not a full blown, recovery plan our full-blown strategic plan, but kind of a mini planning session, which will kind of help us have that immediacy of a need of that kind of document fill, but also they will be setting us up in a place to be ready to maybe go after funding for a more larger, bigger, heavy planning effort, but kind of biting it off in chunks. So we will be working on, finalizing a plan of work with them. Again, they're willing to do this work for free for our community, and that will probably be starting in the next month or so. And then Casey and I are continuing to work along with many community partners on putting together grant opportunities, or putting together a grant for the opportunity for technical assistance that EPA and FEMA are going after, which we've talked about before. Our wish list has gotten quite large for technical assistance, and probably larger than is a good idea to send forward. So we probably are going to need to do some cutting and hacking here pretty soon, and really prioritize what we're going to ask for. I think because the entire amount of money that is available to give out to the whole state is $400,000. And I think the ask we have is maybe like double that. So we're going to need to cut back a little bit, but we are working on getting that proposal out the door by the end of the month. So that's all the updates I have. Casey, is there anything you want to add?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to articulate that, Katie, I don't know if you can even count the number of times you've actually spent half days, full days, in Otis, in the fire affected area. And I mention that because when we think about bringing the community and stakeholders together to, as you say, kind of maybe have this visioning plan light, I feel that's really informed you on the survey fatigue, perhaps, for those individuals up there. But what's exciting is that boots on the ground by you, I think, is really going to help us, hopefully, unlock those individuals more so than if we weren't present as you have been, to get the situation awareness of what folks are really going through in the process of recovery. And Katie, I don't know, what do you think? If you had not been as diligent as you are there, how much harder might this be to really feel what people are going through?
Yeah, thanks, Casey. I guess I would just say that coming from an extension background and working with communities, it's just kind of simply how I operate. It's just sort of what I do. And I understand often that communities can be skeptical of government and skeptical of outsiders, and that sometimes you just truly don't understand needs without being there. And my 20 plus years of extension work and working with the fishing industry taught me that there's a lot of people that care, that come forward and have this, in quotes, great idea, to help industry or help coastal communities that really was not a great idea, or was going to be detrimental, or wouldn't work, or whatever. And so, I know that, and I've lived that. And so, spending time up there really, I think, helped us and myself and others get clear on what the needs actually are, and what's helpful and not helpful. Because just because you need help, the nice example is you break your leg and, someone brings you medication for a headache. It's not quite what you need, right? You need a splint or something. So I think it's been incredibly helpful. I kind of encourage everybody that's in, wildfire impacted community to spend time. And I guess the other thing I would say is, they've truly been a gift to me as well, not just me helping them, but just a wonderful community. And I'm just grateful that they let me in, because that's the other thing about working with communities, is just because you want to be let in doesn't mean that they want you in, right? That's something that has to be mutual. And so I'm just grateful that the trust was able to be built, and that they extended that to me, and that, now I feel like, we're kind of rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is across their backs, but I feel like now that There's a lot of trust between local government and them and other partners that we're truly able to get somewhere. And I hear every week, every day. I just heard it this morning from someone from a large foundation in the state that Lincoln County and recovery is truly just blowing the rest of the state away. And, I really think that's because the community has been stepping up like we always do. I mean, I feel like we have such a great community and they always step up, and they're stepping up once again. And I also feel it's because of that partnership that we were able to form with them between local government. And I'm just so happy every time I'm up there now that we are where we are. So I sort of always see the layer of what it looked like when I drove up with Sheriff Landers right after the fire. I always kind of see that behind the layer of what is today. And it's truly amazing how much has been accomplished. And I know there's so many people in hotels and many people still don't have a path to get home. But I always hang on to that hope and that vision that we have made a ton of progress. And we still have a lot of energy. We're still very active and we are still pushing forward. So
Yeah.
There's my thoughts for today. Thank you, Casey.
Well, yeah, and I think as we have a more formal, product that'll come from meeting with individuals, it'll be nice to really see things maybe we're not seeing, or verify the things that we do know. So that'll be nice to bring that back to the board. So thank you.
Okay, thank you both very much. And now at this point, I'd like to call on Florence Portal, our interim public health director, for our weekly COVID and vaccination briefing. Florence, are you online?
Yes, I am. Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Casey, for pulling up the slides. All right, let's go to the next slide. So in this new format, we're going to just go through the few first slides to just discuss the highlights for this week. And I have one slide about COVID cases and kind of where we seem to be going, and then one around vaccination. So for COVID cases, there are some good news. The first one is that we are seeing a drastic decline in hospitalization statewide, which is really encouraging. I mean, we're still over 700 people being hospitalized with COVID-19 on a daily basis throughout the state. And it is also about 500 less than what we were seeing a couple of weeks ago. So this is really encouraging. However, I was reading recently that some of the projections are still about having quite a bit of hospitalization through December of this year, if all remains the same. So, and in Lincoln County, our hospitals have been doing really, really good. And I think, and not only myself, but a lot of our partners really think that we've been able to avoid tragic hospitalization experiences and for the system to be overwhelmed, because we've done such a tremendous job as a community to get vaccinated. And so the more vaccinations and vaccinated people, the less severe iteration of the disease, and therefore less hospitalizations as well. So we are also seeing a steady decrease in cases throughout Oregon and in Lincoln County. I just want to be cautious here because we're still over 1,600 cases of COVID-19 reported daily, which is a lot. It's like about three times or more what we were seeing in the spring of 2020. when we were really, really low. So you'll see when you go through the slide deck, you'll see that the graph that shows our kind of weekly cases in Lincoln County shows that maybe last week we're having a little uptick. So we're gonna watch the data really closely. Next slide. More. You have to go down the deck. The next one. Yeah, this one. So you see the week beginning at September 26th, we're seeing a slight uptick, but it's, I was talking to our epidemiologist and she mentioned that it is on average 3.5 cases over what we were seeing the week prior to that in terms of the daily reports. So like I said, we're gonna watch it, but I'm not too worried right now. You can go back to the second slide, please. Thank you. The other piece of information that I wanted to discuss, because I think it's very encouraging and it's very aligned with what we were seeing last year during the school year, is that in fact we have very little transmission within the school setting. We have some transmission in the buses, just because it's a little bit harder really to make sure that everybody is properly masked and, you know, and, but in the classroom, we have 0 to very, very little transmission, which I think is extremely encouraging when we think about how the school year is going to, you know, evolve this year. So I thought that was of importance to mention. And, you know, the team is really looking, first, we're working extremely closely with the school district and the school nurses, and we're looking very closely at the outbreaks that we have to open and how the outbreaks evolves. So that's been really, really great to see that the transmission is almost inexistent.
Could I ask a question here?
Of course.
Florence, please. Yeah, so I have just heard anecdotally from parents of school-age children that you know, that some children are quarantining because a family member has tested positive for COVID, or that a student themselves has tested positive. So if the transmission isn't happening within the school setting, is it fair to assume that it happened in a family or a social setting outside of the school?
Yes. So what the team was doing this week and last week was really looking at each case that is part of a school outbreak, and because our investigative guidelines require us to open an outbreak when we have 2 cases in the schools that are not from the same household, right? So, but then we're looking to see, are we getting more cases added to the outbreak that were in contact with that particular case within the school setting? And we're not seeing that. So yes, it's absolutely fair to say that the transmission happens either, so let me be clear, either completely outside of school or on the way to school if we have a bus exposure, right? But mostly what we're seeing is a parent or a household member is coming positive, kiddo has to be quarantined, and I think people are doing a really good job at, you know, having a good communication with the schools, and then the schools have a good communication with us, and then, you know, and vice versa. I think we have a very good system in place that really helps us prevent further transmission and keep the kiddos in school. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. So the other things that I thought I would share with you this morning were kind of who is carrying the most important like the most burden of the COVID disease. And so this is data that our epidemiologist in Benton County, we share an epidemiologist with Benton and Linn County, looked at, and I thought that was of interest. And so you remember how at the beginning of the pandemic, the main population carrying the burden of disease was, on the older end of the spectrum, like 65 and older, right? But now, interestingly, the burden of disease has shifted. And so one, I think it's very much due to vaccination status. Two, also very much due to the type of variant we've seen, right? And it's really shifted the data. And now we're seeing that the 18 to 29-year-old represent 21.6% of the cases in our community, but only 10% of the population, of the overall population. So you can really see that they have been affected way more than what their proportion is within the community. And same thing for the 30 to 49-year-old. They represent about 31.4% of the cases in Lincoln County, but their group only represent 20% of the overall population. So they're definitely the age has come down, and so I thought that was interesting to show. And then I wanted to reiterate as well, we're looking at cases per vaccination status. 86% of the cases have happened amongst the unvaccinated. And 1.6% of cases have happened amongst those who started their vaccination series but didn't finish it. And then about 12% of cases occurred amongst the fully vaccinated. So it is very, very clear that the cases are spreading within the unvaccinated population. And it's also very, very clear that if you are vaccinated, you're very unlikely to get an infection or, get a positive COVID-19 infection. And if you are, we know clearly that your vaccination is gonna protect you against a severe case of the disease. So I thought that was important to mention yet again. Next slide, please. And then on the vaccination fronts, we had our first Pfizer booster clinic at the fairground last Friday. That went really, really well. We changed the flow a little bit, and we did 181 vaccines last Friday. So what we decided to do is to open the clinic to anybody, boosters, first dose, second dose, of people who would like a Pfizer. So we're providing only Pfizer at that clinic. And people have access to the schedule on our website. They can call the call center that is up and running since last week to get help. So really, we're trying to make it as easy as possible for folks. The other news is that Samaritan will start Pfizer booster clinics at the CHE building. They're going to start on the 23rd of October. Then we're trying to work with the Task Fire Station and Chief Dolman to start a Pfizer clinic at his location next week. And then the other point that I thought was really encouraging is that we're really seeing an uptick in a vaccination for the 12 to 17 age category. We're at 68%, which is pretty amazing. I think we started really, really low, and so we're making some good progress there as well. So this is what I have for you this week.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Jacobson, any questions or comments for Florence?
Yeah, just a curiosity question. You said the 12 to 17-year-old vaccination rate is picking up. What do you contribute that to?
Well, it could be a few things. It could be that the kind of the impact of the Delta variant and the impact of what we've seen over the summer and the surge, and some families might have been touched in some way by the disease, and realize that it would be important to make some vaccination choices. The other piece is that we have a partnership with the school district, and we are offering vaccinations in the school setting, so that can help as well. It could also be that those age categories are eligible for the Pfizer vaccine, and this vaccine has been fully approved by the FDA, at least for the 18 plus. So, I think there are plenty of possible reasons.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Well, if there aren't any other questions, we'll say thank you for the update, Florence, and hope you have even better news to bring us next week. Thank you.
Okay, that sounds good. Have a good day.
You too. All right, commissioner reports. Commissioner Jacobson, do you have anything that hasn't been brought up already?
I don't, thank you.
Okay, well, I'll mention that as I think I mentioned from time to time, I'm chair of the Oregon Housing Stability Council, and among the projects we were able to vote state funding for next week, or last week, was the Blackberry Hill Apartments, a project being developed by Northwest Coastal Housing. This will be 11 units reserved for veterans, and 3 of them will be supportive housing units that basically long-term social services will come with those units, and designed primarily to serve veterans who have been dealing with chronic long-term homelessness. So there'll be a formal announcement coming out from Northwest Coastal Housing, but I just want to celebrate their hard work and bringing this forward and successfully having it funded. We're now up to the point in the agenda reserved for public comment, and Casey Miller, we did have some written comment. If you could highlight that for us, please.
Yeah, and Claire, as we pull up the written comment, if we do have individuals on the meeting that want to provide that verbal input, please use the raise your hand function. And I will give you a quick tour of the comment we have received. So stand by, and I will pull up the correct websites here. So first, we're going to look at today's meeting page online. Can you see that okay there, the website?
Yes.
Okay. And then at the bottom of the page in supporting documents, you'll see this combined input that we've received through our smart sheet. Jumping over to the smart sheet, I believe we've got, looks like just 4 items. A couple of them have attachments. So when you click on the PDF, you'll see the comment and the included attachments. Now, this week, everything seems to be about short-term rentals, and I want to remind everyone that I know you're, deliberating about this through your regular commissioners meetings. We also put that STR short-term rental comment specifically on the short-term rental licensing 2021 workshop page. So you'll probably see STR comment on both locations as you're working through the policy updates. So yeah, that's what we have this week. And if you want to, I don't see any raised hands for individuals that are on our meeting right now. So I don't think we have any live input at this time.
Okay. Then we'll bring the meeting to a close with an announcement that the Board of Commissioners will be meeting in executive session at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Then on Monday, the 11th, it's our office staff meeting, and that will be a virtual meeting, as will the next meeting of the Board of Commissioners, Wednesday, October 13th at 10 a.m. Until then, thanks, and we'll see you then next week.